Hi everybody, welcome to Tea First Podcast. Today we're talking about tea and healthy teas, what makes tea healthy, and what are dangers of tea. You don't really hear about those too often. But anyway, grab your tea first and join us.
Well, you know what? Before we talk about anything today, I have a mysterious pot right here, right? Because you're making the tea today. I just came in. I didn't taste it yet.
You didn't taste it yet. All right, so we're going to have a little tea tasting, a blind tea tasting.
Oh no. Is it like a flavor or anything? Oh, it's look dark. Hang on. So it's going to be black tea. At least, right? Let's see. It smells like, this does smell like black. With a hint of like spice. You give me Russian Caravan, Lapsang.
I did not give you Russian Caravan, Lapsang Souchong, the smokiest tea in the tea shop that I don't think you enjoy.
Pu'er? Some pu'er.
Pu'er, because we're talking about what today?
The health benefit of tea. Is that the healthiest one now?
Oh, good question. Well, probably not, since you haven't had that in 5 years. I make that joke because once I had a customer ask me, what's the healthiest tea? Or I want to make my tea so bitter because then I know it's good for me. And I said, that's not a good idea. Find a tea that you enjoy, drink a lot of it, and that will be the healthiest tea for you. So Pu'er does have a little bit of unique health benefits, and that is usually, I like to serve Pu'er to the family after our Thanksgiving meal. We had the Super Bowl the other day. Pu'er came out, and that's all because it tends to help the stomach, any indigestion you might have from the stomach, and that's because of probiotics. That's Pu'er. That's very unique tea in compared to all the other tea types coming from the Camellia sinensis plant. But yeah, you got it right. Well, you got it wrong, and then you got it right.
Well, it does smell like earthy a little bit, and I know it's not straight Lapsang because Lapsang Souchong from China is smoked tea, right? That have like a smoky. One customer called it the campfire tea, right? Yeah. So it does have that, but I know it's not super strong, but I don't think it's like a full strength Lapsang. So that's why I said Russian Caravan, because if, anyone that don't know, Russian Caravan is a mix of black tea that goes into Lapsang. So it's toned down that smokiness a little bit. But I did taste some like roasty and earthy from it.
Roasty, earthy, and not to spend the whole session on Pu'er, but since we are talking about it, is a very small niche tea, and so since we are talking about it, I'd like to say that not all Pu'ers are born differently. Not really going to get into the raw versus ripe, but this is a loose Pu'er, and that is aged differently than caked Pu'er, and caked Pu'er tends to be a much higher quality Pu'er and a better smooth tasting.
So this is our house?
This is our house.
Because I know we have been trying different variety of grades of Pu'er lately. Non-organic and regular organic and the cake form. So this is the house organic or?
This is house organic, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Which has a lot of, some certain fan for it. And again, it's like Matt said, small niche, but those who love it will come back and buy pounds of that.
I have a group right after this that's excited to try some cake Pu'er. So yeah, they're definitely a cult following for sure.
Oh, well, so you talk about Pu'er being healthy and all tea has, but if it's all come from one plant. I mean, I usually get a question from customer walking in and, because there's a lot of angle why someone want to get into tea. Some of them want to get out of, coffee, look for something that is more, soothing rather than like high and crash. Some people want to get out of soda and then want to come into tea. because they can, find something more healthy to drink than just like sugary soda. So, but like here, like, so that's a question that, I've been asked a lot, like what tea is healthy? Like what tea is the healthiest, that we can drink? What would you recommend from the professional standpoint? Like, what would you say to customers?
You're asking me.
even though I'm the one who usually answers that question, right? Because I'm the one who's in the store.
The question kept on going and going.
I know. Well, I'll put you on the spot.
And Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to put you on the spot because me, as a second language speaker, there's a lot of like scientific name word that I can't pronounce right.
Neither can I. And I have no excuse.
But you have a better shot than me. And you've done Will & Tea Talks. So you do a formal stuff. See, I can answer questions on a regular basis when customers come in, and I can break it down to the level that I understand and they can understand, because a lot of my customers are like beginners coming in too. But what would you say?
So let's get the boring stuff out of the way.
Okay, let's get boring stuff.
And then you can go into the exciting stuff because I'm just boring when it comes to this. So the definitions.
Okay.
So what are the elements of tea that make it healthy? And they tend to be, when we think of healthiness, we think of antioxidants. Mm-hmm. And there's antioxidants in all fruits, in coffee, in
chocolate,
in chocolate,
wine.
And wine. Well, it's funny that you brought up those, because the dark chocolate, what they say makes it healthy, and red wine, what they say makes that healthy, is the exact same antioxidant in tea, except it won't get you drunk or very high in calories and sugar. And that antioxidant is epigallocatechin 3 gallate.
EGCG.
I know.
Did I get it right this time?
You got it right.
Okay. I usually switch the C and the G. So EGCG.
Epigallocatechin
gallate. 3 first. Okay, 3 gallate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gallate. So that antioxidant, what the research behind antioxidants is that at a cellular level, cells age. And what happens at the cellular level is the creation of something called free radicals, and that is the waste, and that is damage. Antioxidants prevents or gets rid of healthfully the what did I just say? I lost myself already. The free radicals. So free radicals get produced. The epigallocatechin 3 gallate, the strong antioxidant, takes those free radicals away and rejuvenates and repairs the cells.
It's like a miracle. I mean, a lot of people think that it's miracle.
I was going to say the garbage man, but
but that's true though. I mean, like, tea is not. We don't want to leave the message to our audience and customer, and I never like to say that tea is miracle drink. I mean, that's not a take-home message. That's not how I would tell our customer from day one, anyone walked in. There's a lot of customer coming in from the suggestion of friends, from what they experience, and swear by certain product. Like, I have customer that talk highly about this one white tea that she's been having, of like clarity, like take away, like when your brain get foggy. And then she's like, and she was talking to somebody, her neighbor, and that very day neighbor came in. I was like, oh, somebody asked, my neighbor recommended me about this tea that help with the clarity. I'm like, oh no, I don't know what tea give you that clarity. But I mean, overall, so I went through the whole like health benefit of tea with her. But we do have a lot of customer who, would take something, try it out, enjoy it, have the personal experience with it. And there's no denying fact that tea does have a healthy benefit. But at least for me, the way that I run a business, I don't like to make my product sound like a miracle. So all this antioxidant that is in the tea, I mean, it's there. It's not thing that get added in. It's natural, right? And if you have the consistent habit to consume it, you build that up in your body. It's not a miracle cure for anything.
Yeah, you hit on a point that we could have prefaced this whole episode on, and it's our common sense approach to what's healthy. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we don't have a laboratory in-house. So, and we can't directly observe the finite details of these cells and what happens. But what we can do is we can sit and we can think and we can experience ourselves and under the influence of tea.
Yeah.
So now tisanes, as we know, are
Herbs.
teas that don't come from the tea plant. Are plants, herbs, roots, leaves, flowers that don't come from the tea plant, but can still provide health benefits. Right? We know that chamomile is relaxing.
Soothing.
We can feel that. We know that. We know that ginger. Another episode.
I was going to say I have a great story about chamomile with my own daughter. Can I say it?
Nope, not this episode.
Okay.
Sorry. Tea first.
Tea first.
We have tea. So when somebody says energizing, there's a lot. We're not herbalists, but I've tried a lot of herbs over the years. And there's, the one that comes to mind is like St. John's wort and all these other things. Nothing gives me more clarity than L-theanine. And L-theanine is a huge component within tea. The tea that comes into, the L-theanine that comes through tea is an opposite effect to caffeine. Caffeine, we know, makes you alert. L-theanine crosses the blood-brain barrier and actually calms and soothes you. And so that is what I would say that produces clarity.
So L-theanine help with the soothing part of it?
Aspect of the effects that tea has on you. So I kind of said that it's tightly aligned to caffeine. So I also would consider caffeine a health benefit because as the joke goes, you had a long day at work, you come home, make dinner, wash the dishes. I was doing some adjuncting, so I was grading papers or setting up assignments. And then, I don't want to be angry when I'm doing those things. As much as people get hangry, people get fussy. I think you've accused me.
When you want a long day, yes.
I think you've accused me once or twice of being fussy.
I think it's more than once or twice.
Okay, 3 times. So,
not today, though. I think you wake up on the right side of the bed, so I'm ready to do this.
So having a little bit of alertness brought in by caffeine is a health benefit. We got the caffeine, and then we got the L-theanine that then L-theanine is in that calming and soothing. So to be alert and to be calmed and soothed is this very magical, special combination, for sure.
Well, that's what monks love to use too, right? In Asia. And
well,
monk in Thailand.
Oh man, you're making me do medical and now
I
history
know.
and try to make it exciting. But it was the Zen Buddhist monks
yes.
that were the first ones to cultivate it.
Yes.
And brought it from place to place. Because we know that the birthplace of the tea plant was southern China, Yunnan province, which is really close to Burma, Cambodia, and Thailand. And then it was, and then from there it got spread out by the Buddhist monks because, it was energizing, but yet meditative at the same point. But then there's also theophylline and theobromine. Now, those are some trace elements that found in tea, so they're not, because those are actually medications for people with asthma. It opens up the airways and also it helps with circulation. So that also is going to completely help with the meditative process. And again, so you are alert, you're focused, you're breathing well, and your circulation is right on point. So those are really the biggest components. And then you have antioxidants on top of that basically create all the healthy benefits that come from tea. But you didn't ask me what I'm drinking.
I kind of saw it. And I saw from your cup.
Just from the cup, right? Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I know. So I'm drinking matcha, obviously, Kurosawa, which is my go-to. And so Kurosawa is a specific cultivar. And I really like this blend because it balances all the flavors the right way. But matcha, I would say, is the healthiest tea because you are consuming the tea leaves, the powder itself, as opposed to just steeping it out.
Mm-hmm.
So they say that green tea actually has more antioxidants than black tea. The quick rule of thumb with that, and it's not very easy. We learned that green tea is not oxidized. Black tea is 100% oxidized. So the more oxidized it gets, the less antioxidants there are in it.
And why is that?
That just happens to do with the chemical process. So also with my analogy with the banana, a green banana is very starchy. Those starches break down into sugars as it oxidizes, and then it becomes sweet. And but tea kind of doesn't turn sweetness. It goes from a vegetal bitterness to a malty bitterness, and those antioxidants again kind of change.
Mm-hmm.
And then interestingly enough, there's also other changes that happen just with nature. Like what makes green tea like gukuro and matcha different from Japan is that they artificially shade their tea trees several weeks before picking. What the result of that is actually a decrease in caffeine, but an increase in L-theanine. So that's why matcha I wouldn't say that's why the matcha ceremony in Japan is a very meditative process, but it definitely facilitates that thought process of matcha being high in L-theanine. It's also where the umami flavor comes from, that amino acid, and the fact that the traditional matcha ceremony is very meditative too.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot to take for this first part of what is the healthiest.
It's going to be heavy, yeah.
It will be heavy. But anyway, why don't we take a little quick break, maybe? Yes, and we'll be back.
And welcome back. So here, we have been talking a lot over the last couple episodes. We've been just talking about tea and not real fun stuff. But one of the things that we have changed here in this room, we haven't shown the audience yet.
What's the change?
What might change? I was working so hard on this. So where's that sign from?
Well, Crossgate Mall.
Okay.
Our second store.
Yeah. So we had a store, our second store in Crossgates Mall, and we needed to put together a nice sign because, malls have to have really, really nice signs. We have a couple of leftovers. So for those who don't know, we were in Crossgates Mall after Tivana closed. Crossgates Mall came to us asking us if we wanted to fill the space, and we were hemming and hawing at first, but then we were like, why are we even hemming and hawing? Like, this is a dream come true, because it was a turnkey tea store in a premier mall in the area.
It was hemming and hawing because we are here on 1736 Western Ave, that in 2 blocks you can reach the mall. So that's a hemming and hawing. And then, it was like, can we make it? What's the mall life is like, and do we have the team? We just happened to have like the right person at the right time at that time. And, we just roll in. But of course it was like, after we talk, it's kind of like an opportunity that we cannot say no. It's kind of like something that knock on the door. And, because having a tea shop here, even from the craft fair, there's a lot of opportunity that knock on the door. Like, do you want to open here? Do you want to expand? Like, we have I do have a lot of call about that. Like, we love your concept. You want to open in Vermont. You want to open in like this and the other. But then it's like difficult because like, this is my baby. I guess that's a problem about business, a passion, because it is, it can't let go my baby, and I'm so particular about the blend, every single piece of it, and I just cannot let go. So having the second store where I don't see things, I can't not have the full control, is killing me. But then maybe that's a good side that we say, all right, let's have Crossgate because at least it's down the street. I can be short on certain things. If I need to run, it's there. And we analyze it as different clientele, which it was, because there's a lot of great customer nowadays that found us first time from the mall. But yes, this is a sign from the mall. But actually, the second store from the mall. You just did this last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn it on.
Go ahead. The great unveiling. There
Nice. Okay, one color. Two. The color now. Oh, I got pink too.
Yeah, I think.
White light. All right, which one's better? All right, let's keep it this way, right?
All right, sounds good. So this one came from their second
You
store.
just did that last night.
So-
I know.
The blessing and the curse for us going into the mall was that we were on a month to month. That sounds great, right? Doesn't work out, it can pull out, no big deal.
And it was turnkey in a way that Tivana left with all the shelving still there. They don't leave any product for us,
Right.
you know.
We
So
just
they-
painted
it
one or
kind-
two walls,
Yeah.
put up brand new
And our
signs.
team kind of fit. We made it work.
We made it work. But the negative of that is that if a permanent store with a 5-year lease signed a contract, we would be removed from that location. So that happened 3 times in 3 years.
Yeah.
And that was the challenge. So you're right. This came from the second store, which was an old Coach store.
White.
How
team.
large was that? So
Triple
Tivana,
the size.
yeah, at least triple the size, more than that. So the Tivana store was probably, let me just guess, 20 by 20, 25 by
15,
25.
For the storefront, yeah.
Yeah, the size. And then the old Coach store was
Deep and long.
and even wider. So
because I had to buy the rug.
probably 25 feet was the front, and then we had a runner that went all the way back to the matcha bar.
Yeah.
We really pushed matcha at that spot with macarons, and that was 60. Almost, no, it couldn't have been 60, but at least 40. So 25 by 40. Yeah, it was more than double the size. And then we got moved from there right around COVID, next to the old Tivana store.
Before COVID.
Where we wanted. Okay, just before COVID though. And then COVID hit. We were shut down for a while. And then we're like, all right, we'll make a go at it to reopen. We were this close, literally this close to signing the
It's
contract.
literally that, because I remember it was my birthday.
Lawyers were involved.
We came back from Thailand and we have all the lease in front of us, meeting with the agent. And then it was a point that everything already went back and forth. We almost accept the lease, except the last thing that we negotiated. We said, all right, well, now that we agree on certain term, let's have a lawyer look at it. And that's when we took the paperwork home. And that Friday, thing got announced, shut down. So we had a paperwork that is in our hand. And within the following week, after March 20th or whatever, around that week, I said, Matt, is it a sign? Okay, I mean, it's not a sign, but it's like, maybe we need to reconsider this deal. We don't know how this is going to go, and who knows, like, how it's going to turn. But we were like, maybe we can just like take it slow and see what happens. We do not need to rush anything right now because we don't know how long the shutdown is going to be. And this seemed to be going bigger than what we all expect. So we say no.
Yep. And then we did reopen under COVID for a very short period of time. And at that point, we were basically done.
Yeah.
Um,
But this is give us inspiration to have the second floor here because I have a lot of inventory. I have beautiful sign. I'm somebody who never throw anything away. Even when we first built a tea shop here for the first time, we have is a lot of like old materials, downstairs in the basement.
absolutely.
And you build a tea shop yourself
Design
for
on
the
a
first
dime.
time. Yes, I want to love that show. We don't have money then. I only come here with 2 suitcases, so I don't have a lot of fun. And everything is 30 to 1. So a lot of things is on our saving, hardworking,
So-
and a little help from your dad.
Again, clarify, you didn't have a lot of funds, and the 30 to 1 was the currency rate. Right. So, but I got a question for you. We define success very differently than just financial success, right? There's a lot of other levels. Was Short and Stout Junior that we call it?
Because Junior, yes, it's Junior.
Was that a success?
I would say yes.
Mhm.
It was success it's more like a short-term goal. It's more like something that is a path that we need to go through, I feel. That's how I look at life. You know, like when you have to do something that you don't want to do, when you are put in a scenario that you have to think, you know, if you, like when we first opened, we don't have a lot of fun. We are put in a situation where we have to get everything from the saving, you know, work ourselves. That put us in the stage where we need to learn. And that's what happened to CrossGate. It's a path that we want to grow somehow. We always want to grow. We've been in the business for like 5 years here in this location. And it was a growth that kind of knocked on a door and we just have to take it. And it's an opportunity we cannot say no to. But sometimes when you put yourself in that kind of situation where you have to do something, you know, it contribute to who we are, how we are today. Because if we don't have CrossGate, if we did not ever go there, we would stay in the shell. You know, in Thailand, they call it frog in the coconut shell.
Love it.
You want to hear about frog in the coconut shell?
And then we get back to tea.
Okay. We get off topic again. But yes, frog in the coconut shell is, so the frog got raised, stay in this coconut shell, right? Coconut is round. Cut in half, boom. You got a half circle sitting on the table, like that. And a frog grow in there. So his world is just that. Never going outside, never see anything. It's almost like American way, maybe think outside the box. I don't know.
Nope, I got another one.
Okay, you got another one. So you grow in there, you think you know everything. Everything is just that big. And you never get to step outside of it. Then you don't know, what the outside world is like. So that's what's kind of like us, or anything that happened in life. Like if you stuck in one spot, one thing, and you think that's all everything is, and you never step outside, you will never gain experience. So CrossGate kind of knock on the door, make us go out of our way to do things, learn more things, learn about staff management, more staff management, because it used to just be me here with 2-3 people. Now I have to manage 15, 20 people. Now I have to have 2 stores. Now I have to try to find a balance. Now I have to satisfy different group of customer, go through another whole new regulations, new group of people, corporate world. So we learn through all of that. And that's give us, that learning give us different perspective of how, if we want to grow again, or what direction we might want to take.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it's kind of why I jumped at the opportunity even to entertain the idea of creating Short and Stout Tea in the first place. You had the idea, you had the drive. I am the conservative say, is this really a good idea?
I'm always that one, right?
But opening, I did not want to be 30 years older and saying, I wish we did do it and not. So CrossGates was kind of the same thing. We've always had not the dream or the hope, but I guess the feeling in our gut to say, oh, this could be expanded. And so we did, and so we took the opportunity to do that in CrossGates Mall. Back to the frog in the coconut shell, more importantly. So the thing that comes to mind quickly is the analogy, the English American analogy of, and you know this one, a big fish in a small pond. But that's what comes to mind quickly, but it doesn't really do it justice.
Is that an American thing or is my thing again?
No, I think small, unless there's a Thai translation. I know your dad loves it, but I think it's in English. Is there a direct Thai word for that?
Yeah.
Sounds like poetry. Just like poetry. But yeah, so again, that goes over multiple languages, and that's what comes to mind for your frog in a coconut shell example, but it doesn't do it justice, because here I think with a fish in the pond, it's more about how much influence you have and how you can personally grow in a space, where your frog in a coconut shell is like a whole nother world, right?
It is tied back to like the way that it's that I know about. It's the one analogy that used to maybe show about people's attitude too. If you're a frog in a coconut shell, you feel like you know everything. but you don't. So like, don't be the frog in the coconut shell. Would be like, go out there and learn something new. You're right, and this is not, you think that you're the biggest, you think that you're the coolest in there, but you're not, So I guess it go back to maybe teaching people to be humble, I guess, and continue learning, because there's always something to learn. Here we are in the business for 10 years and we still learning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we ask questions. This is why we decide to do this type of chat, right? Because a lot of time when kids go to school at night, this is our conversation at home, just to find the answer of like, what is this? What is that? And you read a lot of books. My way of learning is to talk to people. I don't like to read that much. I listen, but yeah, so just go out there and continue learning, and learn. And that's how we gain our knowledge firsthand. Because I can sit in class and boom, 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 out. But, when we get to do it, and that's why, CrossGate is a path that we must take. We had to take. It's the opportunity that we cannot say no. It's we were put there for a reason, to learn things and to get a new idea, new perspective. All technology about the app that we use nowadays, I would never have to thought of using it. Talking about scheduling app or anything. I would start here with like a piece of paper, writing down the calendar. Mm-hmm. And then the question is, if I work at CrossGate, how am I going to get my schedule? At first I took a picture of that big calendar and sent to everyone at the beginning of the week, and that's not effective. Mm-hmm. And then again, there's people that come in at the right times, staff that help along the way, and then, maybe you should use the scheduling app now so everyone can see it, So that's kind of like make us evolve,
right?
Bring in new technology, and yeah.
So going back to the way that you experience life is through interactions with people. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to tea. And with that, and our topic today is health benefits. Mm-hmm. You alluded to earlier that customers sometimes would come in and say, I drink too much sugary drinks, whether it be soda or coffee, mm-hmm. and put in too much cream and sugar and coffee to make it palatable. And they sometimes come to a tea shop to get inspired for a more healthier drink. Mm-hmm. So what do you respond to people like that?
So, let's separate into two groups, right? There's a group that came in from coffee, experience like heartburn, jittery, and want to get out of it. Or the second group is, you're right, soda group, which is people who, like something sweet, like something fizzy, and heard about tea. So these two groups both heard about tea and want to switch the beverage of their choice to keep himself more healthy. So the first group, right, coffee, because if someone come in that angle and want something that they've been having coffee, of course they're going to make something that's strong and bold. So I usually ask questions first. Why do you want to get out coffee? Or not why, but what do you like about a coffee that make you want to drink or have been drinking every day? And common answer would be, well, I like the flavor of it, right? Or some people say, I need caffeine. So those are two things. And if they say they like to drink coffee because of caffeine, so I know that I'm going to have to give them some boost. The tea or tea stand that have the great strength of caffeine, which is?
You caught me.
So I would recommend yerba mate on that. Right? We also have the blend. So I actually created this blend for this group.
Okay.
It's called Java Junction that have strong black tea. I throw in yerba mate. I actually grind up our coffee from the local coffee roaster, Chris Coffee. And we ground it up, we put it in there. So it's kind of like a baby step. Mm-hmm. So it still give you a little flavor of coffee. It gives you that caffeine from yerba mate, from the black tea, maybe a little bit less than coffee, but it's, kind of comparable, but it still give you that flavor of coffee that you might enjoy, right? So that's one. For those that if somebody said, I strictly need caffeine.
Yeah. Can I interject there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of you hit on a lot of the points. It's about the flavor. It's about the caffeine level, and you talked earlier about the caffeine bump up from coffee and how it's different from tea. And I'm drawing with my pen here in the air like a spike of coffee. And the reason why it goes up quickly is because it goes up higher than tea. There's more caffeine in coffee than there is in tea. But the higher you go, the lower you fall, right? And that's where the caffeine crashes. So not only could you be over caffeinating yourself with 100 milligrams per 8 ounces. Nobody drinks 8 ounces of anything. Everybody says, 4 cups today kind of thing. And that's going to be like 12 ounces or more. And then you got that. So the jitteriness and then the crash. And there's other components, not just caffeine that's in coffee that creates that unwelcomed feeling of alertness and over alertness. And then there's the number 2 is also the body. So you're reducing the caffeine with just having whole coffee beans as opposed to the grinding, but you're also having the coffee beans in there to get a more fuller body within the flavor of the cup. And that's where I always go to matcha, because I think matcha or even chai are 2 great alternatives to or transition teas from coffee, because matcha is more fuller bodied, because you have a situation where you have the powder that's within the matcha is thicker, and then also a chai because all the ginger, cinnamon, cardamom, clove, really a full body at just a touch of milk, and again, more fuller cup.
Well, honestly, those are not the 2 that I usually recommend customers to go. Especially, like people need transition. You can't jump from one thing to the other. Matcha is one thing that I don't recommend customer to get right into because it's involved like certain preparation. My techniques is about like baby step. That's why I need to know first, why do they want to get out of coffee? If it's because of caffeine, all right, you know how to brew tea, right? You use tea bag of some sort, it's just hot water. So I will go something along a line of like, let's say with yerba mate, let's try this Java junction, so that's something that give you a full caffeine kicks. If you like because of flavor, or you don't mind flavor at all, you just want something that gives you caffeine, you don't really attach to the caffeine level so much, then your choice is more open to even like, green tea or plain chicory, which is like no caffeine at all, because that gives the body of like that full body, like coffee. And there's a lot of product out there too that bring in chicory. We did put chicory into our Java Junction blend too. So that is a group for the coffee drinker. Matcha come later for me, because it's something that I think is a taste to acquire and it's more involved. Like not just it's actually easier when you use matcha. It's easy. It's not as complicated as you thought, but it's just a taste to acquire, and it's another way of preparing. So that's one thing I usually don't jump in. Now the second group that you asked me earlier is soda drinker. Again, I ask the same question, like, what do you like about soda? Because I need to understand why you like what you've been drinking before I introduce you with the product or pair with a product with a tea. So again, if, I just like the fruitiness of it. Oh, bingo. I know I can point you to our fruity blends, because we have a lot of like fruity blend that based on hibiscus have the sourness within. If a little sugar goes in, it's like juice, you want to put fizziness to it, add in cup soda. So it's almost like make your own soda at home, but you have control over how much sugar you put in, what type of sweetness you can put in. So if you don't want sugar, because sugar is not always, if you want to put honey instead, you can. You used to have like milligram of sugar in that one can. Maybe you cut down in half. So it's like kind of like make your own soda at home. And then once those groups get to something that they can make at home themselves and get familiar with the taste of tea with that element, like for example, back to soda, right? So let's say you make your own homemade kind of soda that mimic that true soda in the can. You put in some sparkling water. You put in some fruity, you brew some fruity hibiscus. You put in some sugar. then slowly over time, you cut down your sweetness from half to quarter to maybe none. And then you left, just like you right now, you would drink hibiscus straight with some sparkling water. You don't need sugar anymore because even that fruity tea blend will have the sweetness within itself. And then maybe if you don't need fizziness anymore, one day you just rely on a regular fruity blend, which is totally fine. And it's great too. And once you develop your taste to that certain level, then you can experiment with different things. So that's how I, recommend customer or wean customer on one thing to the other. And I have to say this is like truly early childhood techniques, something that I went to school for, or weaning baby out the bottle. Same thing, skill of mom. So
personality plays a big difference because within our children, some were easier to wean and others were not so easy to wean. Looking at our assistant for today as being the one who loved the baba. Sorry, don't be embarrassed. We didn't give your name. It's not Noah.
Yeah, Noah haven't been around. That's all right. We still get a good group of kids helping. Yeah. You wouldn't believe all this recording helping is high school kids, middle school kids. That's how it's a family business. So we get them involved. But
I like your idea on weaning. So I'm a cold turkey kind of guy. I have zero willpower. So if I just give myself a little bit of chocolate, the bar's gone. So if I have a little bit of soda, the bottle's gone. So I just go from I will switch from soda to seltzer. And this is what it's going to be. And this is what I'm going to have, and because that's a very different experience than soda. So I do like your point of not everybody has that willpower, but I think that's the power also of somebody coming into the store, talking to somebody, building a relationship and saying, this is what we're going to do today. Having a plan and I'm putting you on a trajectory over a period of time. And then when it's a success story, everybody feels really good about what was done rather than a customer coming in saying, yep, I'm going to give you straight hibiscus. And you're not going to like it, but come back. And guess what? They won't come back.
And that's the thing, for me, maybe because I'm a cook, I'm a mom, I'm many things. I like to make it I like to introduce tea into something that they can handle on the level that they can do every day, that they will satisfy. And let's go back to, this is a reason why when somebody come in and ask, what is the healthiest tea? Give me something that is miracle. I mean, they didn't use the word miracle, but it's kind of along that same line of again, I will say, no, please don't think of tea as a miracle. And it has a great health benefit, but I never want anyone to think of tea as a miracle. To not have sickness is better. Prevention is better than anything, right? Sometimes people only get into tea or certain thing because they look for cure. Tea might help cure, but it's also better to take it on a regular basis to prevent. So if someone come in and say, give me the healthiest tea, well, I'll go back to my question again. What do you like what kind of flavor do you like? What kind of, body of tea you're looking for? Because the simple thing is, if you have something that you like every day and you love the flavor, this is for, I don't drink all the time. If I tell you this is the most healthy, the healthiest tea, and you must drink it. And I drink every cup, I pluck my nose, I hate it, and I don't want to drink it for another 5 days or 5 years. What does it do to me? It doesn't. But if you say, oh, I like spice, I like this, I like that, and I can suggest you the blend that you love and you want it more. And that more is going to become your habit, your routine that you're going to drink every day, 2 times a day. You replace it with water. And that is, you're going to get the most benefit out of that.
That's right. It's very easy to routinize something that you love. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I've been thinking about lately too is that it's the phrase that says, you're going to get healthy the way that you got sick. Mm-hmm. And the way that people get sick isn't overnight, isn't chronic. It tends to, it is chronic. It happens over a long period of time. which means you should get you should get healthy over a long period of time, meaning it's a transition, you know. I guess that's against my cold turkey perspective. I mean, granted, I was in a period of time that I would eat a candy bar and then 15 minutes later feel hungry, so I'd eat another candy bar. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to cut this out. You know, there's some things that you can do like that. But if you're going to want to lose weight, tea's not going to drop you 15 pounds in a week, right? Yeah,
there's some people, but I would say please be careful when you hear what's advertised out there that this is going to take your weight out within 15 days. I mean, if they can guarantee the product, I hope that that's true. But the reality is what you can make it into your habit. You know, like I become a matcha drinker and I drink it every day now. And it starts from simplicity of whisking it, and I can leave it in the cup and then sip it throughout the day. And it's been over a year or two that I've done that. I guess that I get called out of like, you know, oh, my skin is not quite dry, or like, you know, people was like, oh, you look like you lose weight. That could be benefit of matcha. I don't know. It just become into the habit that I just drink it because I enjoy it. Side benefit, great. That's a reward. You know, it become the habit that I have it every day. And I didn't think much about health benefits because if your head is too focused on the health benefit of it, in 15 days, I'm going to lose weight. You're going to be disappointed in that 15 days if you don't see the result. And then you're going to stop drinking it. Sometimes you just have to create a habit first, you know, for something that's healthy.
Right. For somebody who wants a flip of a switch, well, maybe if you drank tea and only tea and consumed nothing else for a week, maybe. But again, that's too extreme and that's not sustaining either. So I think we're at a good transition point about things that aren't healthy regarding tea, or the stories that there are out circulating that make tea not healthy. And one of the biggest ones that I remember somebody asking me was, I think that tea gives you esophageal cancer. And so that was hitting the news cycles several years ago. And after looking so that's what the headline says, right? So now everybody fears tea. But looking at the actual article, reading the scientific journal, it actually used the target population, the treatment population that had higher levels of esophageal cancer was actually those who drank tea at a high temperature. Like boiling is 212, so they're drinking it at like 199 degrees, and they would drink that every day.
Would that burn their mouth?
It burned their esophagus, and that is ultimately what led to a higher increase. This was also it was, again, I think I might have said that it was hitting the British Airways that this came out, and it was the British that had done the study, but it was specifically to high temperature of water that they were consuming, creating that adverse condition.
And another thing that I heard is kidney stone.
Yeah.
Right?
So, well,
what's your take on that? Because my dad has kidney stone.
Right, and I know
he's not a tea drinker though.
He's not so there's a lot of people who have kidney stones that are not tea drinkers. But if you do have a kidney stone, you're likely to have a kidney stone again. And what doctors say is don't drink tea. The reason being is that there is a calcite that is in black tea, specifically black tea. And sometimes when we brew a batch of black tea for the farmers markets, and we would chill it, it would become cloudy. So that cloudiness is actually that calcite that's condensing. And that could potentially go into become a stone. There's a couple things to prevent that from happening. One of which is you're going to be drinking 3 cups of tea, which I tend to do like back to back. I'll purposely drink water before and in between each cup. So you dilute it in your stomach as opposed to diluting it in your cup, because I really like my Chinese black teas that are roasty, not so bitter, full of flavor. So that's one way that I mitigate the chances of creating kidney stones.
Lemon too, right?
That's what I asked my doctor. How do you prevent kidney stones? And he says lemonade. So I try to steer clear of sugar. So I would then go ahead and throw lemon in my seltzer, or lemon
Water.
in a hibiscus, lemon and hibiscus and mint. I love making a seltzer out of that too. But you can put lemon in tea as well. So any lemon is going to help, dissolve that kidney stone.
Bring the balance to the body. Yep.
And lemon is actually very, very high in antioxidants too, a different antioxidant, but also a very powerful antioxidant. That actually leads me to another thing that I didn't say that I probably should have. I haven't said it in a long time, but it's true. So if you add milk to tea or matcha, you're actually, that milk protein actually binds with epigallocatechin 3 gallate, and you can't absorb it. So it actually reduces the absorption rate of the antioxidants. So if you want a healthy tea, you don't want to add milk to it.
Or sugar or any other thing.
Definitely.
I mean, that's I think that's the ultimate goal for me too, when I, help customer who want to get out of coffee, latte, sweet drinks, even in like sweetened tea. That's happened to myself. Like I start from flavored tea, right? And then I add a little bit of sweetness. Or with black tea, I do a little bit of milk. Matcha, I start from like latte style. And then I slowly wean out the sugar. My palate change. I always joke with you or say it to myself. If I create short and stout right now, this day, after 10 years, a lot of short and stout drink would be so bad because I would not make it so tasty like it is. When I created this 10 years ago, I was young, I like something sweet. I like sweet stuff.
Balanced.
Balance, and I would drink mostly, flavorful tea is tea there because I never like to go to places and I order iced tea or something. Like, this is like a water and sugar. Where's your tea component, So that's why I'm not cheap to put ingredients into the drink. That's why our drink is a little more expensive because not just it's all handmade on every single drink that you order, there's also ingredients. If some other place put in 2 spoons of tea, I give you 4 if I'm making latte because I want to make sure that once I put milk and cream in there, it's going to still say tea. But that's what it is. Like you have something that you like first and then you create a better habit. You start cutting out the sweetness. And then for me right now, I'm proud to say I drink straight matcha. I could drink straight tea, straight matcha. I made golden milk the other day with turmeric, with rooibos, with ginger, and I used to need honey because spice can be so strong. Nowadays I cut out even that sweetness and just go straight with the spice. So that's how that's the ultimate goal that I like, people to drink tea, to step up, to experiment, and then slowly wean off the thing that will decrease the health benefit of it. Of course, it's good to get to what you like first and then create a habit that is on a healthier lifestyle, a habit for the better testing, and then go on a pure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Purist. Become a purist, right?
Become a purist. Yep. Become a tea purist. All right. Well, I think we're done with today's episode of tea health benefits. And our next episode is going to be tisane health benefits. So be looking forward to that.
Okay.
Coming out soon. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.